Last week, Axis Mutual Fund removed Viresh Joshi as fund manager from 5 equity schemes and Deepak Agarwal, who was an assistant fund manager, from 3 equity schemes. This was because rumors were started swirling about malpractices which perhaps led to their removal. Axis Mutual Fund later on put out a statement which said that they have been investigating the matter since February 22 using reputed external advisors. Now, the Securities Exchange Board of India is apparently examining whether the fund managers were doing front running, or which is trading ahead of the fund's own transactions. Unconfirmed allegations say that Axis fund managers pumped up stocks above the threshold level, which would qualify for different mutual funds of different segments, which is mid cap, small cap, and so on, so that these stocks then become eligible for the respective funds to buy. Now, this, if they're doing this, this would come under market manipulation and unfair trading practices or SEBI regulations. Now, while large-scale misdemeanors in mutual funds are rare, what is not rare is some of these things, which is front-running, ramping up illiquid scripts, insider trading, or being part of the pump and dump operation, although only a few of these ever get nailed down. Last year, SEBI fined top managers of Franklin Templeton following a forensic audit of 6 debt schemes that FT had abruptly shut down in April 2020 because it would not be able to meet redemption requests as the securities were illiquid and of low grade. In that case, SEBI found similarities in investment strategy and concentration of similar securities across schemes, although the investment objectives of each of these schemes were different. SEBI also alleged that Franklin Templeton failed to carry out due diligence in illiquid securities and that the pattern of investment was akin to giving loans to issuers. No concrete steps, he said, were taken or guidance were provided in managing various risks, which is concentration risk, downgrades, early warning signal, and liquidity issues of the securities in the portfolio. All this is what SEBI has subsequently found out. The most scandalous of all in the audit findings was this: before the schemes were to be wound up using non-public information, what is popularly called inside information, senior FT officials, executive Vivek Kudva, his wife Rupa Kudva, who headed CRISIL earlier, and his mother Vasanti Kudva withdrew their money from these 6 schemes before other investors could, before the trouble started. Such irregular redemption by FT insiders was well over 50 crore. Now, there are 2 types of reactions to such mutual fund scams, and both are quite extremes. On the one hand, people will say, well, mutual funds are full of scams, so stay away. This is, of course, a gross exaggeration and would amount to throwing out the baby with the bathwater. The second is, you cannot stop such rip-offs. This happens all over the world. After all, Mrs. Indira Gandhi had said corruption is a global or a worldwide phenomenon, and so as and when such corrupt practices come to light, SEBI investigates them as per the existing rules and then penalizes and passes orders, which of course get contested. Now, that is a second approach, while correct and by the rule book, has become so hopelessly ineffective that it's almost a farce. Why? Because regulatory orders are immediately challenged, and such orders can hurt only when it becomes an example for the rest. But the track record of SEBI and Securities Appellate Tribunal is such that their effort is to help rather than hurt the accused. It is the small fry who get caught, while the big fish, as the Americans say, lawyer up and get their problems fixed, or punishment is stayed and delayed. Now, what does one do about situations like these? If the Ministry of Finance really wants to fix the system, it should allow the creation of an interinstitutional team, which would include investigation agencies of the government to follow the money. A small news item appeared in the business paper and on moneycontrol.com hinted the fruits of mutual fund malpractice at Axis. They didn't name Axis, but people believe that it's about Axis. The paper, quoting sources, said the fund manager punched in trades on behalf of the mutual fund at values that were way higher than the market and received kickbacks from brokers. His flashy lifestyle had also raised eyebrows in the market. He was said to be driving a luxury sports car, though it is not clear if he owned it, said one newspaper. Moneycontrol.com says if the mutual fund industry is abuzz with whispers of an audit by market regulator SEBI into front running within a top tier asset management company, and if you are curious to know how it came to light, the tale is certain to elicit chuckles. The main accused, the dealer, a resident of northeastern suburbs of Mumbai, has been painting the town red in a red Lamborghini, and with only limited units of luxury race cars sold, it didn't take long to narrow down the who's behind the scam. As the allegations go, some have acquired massive wealth, luxury cars, and a dozen properties in and around Mumbai. Similar rumors are rife about other fund managers. The way to fix these malpractices is to go beyond SEBI's process. What is needed is the involvement of the Income Tax Department and Enforcement Department to track down the source of reported and unreported wealth. Following the money and freezing anything unaccounted for is the only way to set an example for the others. The Benami Transactions Prohibition Amendment Act 2016 allows for discovery and inspection, interrogation of any person, including officers of banking and financial institutions and any other intermediary or reporting entity, authority to instruct or to produce the books of accounts and provisionally attach properties. Indeed, in the Franklin Templeton case, ED, that is the Enforcement Department, filed a money laundering case on the fund house and 8 others, though there are more egregious cases where the ED ought to get involved with a focus on sudden, unexplained wealth and lifestyle. But this requires guidance from the Ministry of Finance or a deep-pocketed litigant, as happened in case of FT, where the ED acted on a complaint by Financial Technologies. The investigation agencies will not do much on their own, unfortunately. Thanks for watching, and if you like this, please click subscribe and as well as follow.